Hello students. In today's lecture, we will study another topic of Environment Science, Unit 7, that is Human Communities and the Environment. Environmental movements like Chipko movement, Silent Valley movement, Vishnois of Rajasthan, and other movements. Now this is the picture of Chipko movement. Now what is Chipko movement? About 300 years ago, a ruler in Rajasthan decided to fell khejri trees in his estate to create light. Local women, led by Vishnoi's woman, Amrita Devi, clung to the trees to prevent the felling of trees that formed the basis of the scarce resources on which they are dependent. The women were ruthlessly massacred. It is said that the ruler later realized his mistake. The story, however, has been remembered and was revived in the 1970s when severe tree felling for timber in the Himalayas prompted local women supported by people such as Sundarlalji Bahuguna and Chandi Prasad Bhatt led a people's movement to prevent deforestation by timber contractors. They called their movement the Chipko movement in memory of the event during which women had clung to their trees and gave up their lives. The movement followed the path of the 300 Vishnois women had taken 3 centuries ago in Rajasthan. Now here you can see another picture which is showing an initiative of Chipko movement. But that this has led to serious floods and loss of precious soil. Chipko activists have made long padyatras across the Himalayas protesting against deforestation. The movement was been highly successful and has been primarily supported by empowering local women's groups who are the most seriously affected segments of society by deforestation. The movement has proved to the world that the forests of the hills are the life support system of local communities of immense value in terms of local produce that is essential for the survival of local people, and that the forest has less quantifiable but even more important ecological services such as soil conservation and the maintenance of the natural water regime of the whole region. The ability of local women to band themselves together in the foothills of the Himalayas goes back to the pre-independence days when women such as Miraben, a disciple of Gandhiji, moved to his region and understood that it was the deforestation that led to floods and devastation of villages in the valleys and in the Gangetic plains below. They also appreciated that substitution of oak and other broad-leaved forests of the Himalayas by planting fast-growing pine for timber and resin was an ecological and social disaster which reduced the forest resources used by traditional hill communities. Now here you can see the picture of Chipko movement with Sundarlal Bahuguna, conservation movement against felling of trees and for maintaining ecological balance. Started by Sundarlal Bahuguna in 1973 in the foothills of the Himalayas. Non-violent social and ecological movement that was led by rural people, especially women. People protected trees by hugging them to prevent them from being hacked. Now, here you can see a beautiful picture with a lot of greenery. Now, this is the picture of Silent Valley, the birthplace of India's first environmental movement. Now, what is this environmental movement called Silent Valley? Silent Valley movement was a movement against the state to protect Silent Valley, an evergreen tropical forest in the Palakkad district of Kerala, India. It was started in 1973 to save the Silent Valley Reserve forest from being flooded by a hydroelectric project. Now, what is the history of this? The British named why the area Silent Valley because of a perceived absence of noisy saccades. The Kunti Puza is a major river that flows 15 kilometers southwest from Silent Valley. It takes its origin in the lush green forest of Silent Valley. In 1928, the location on the Kunti Puza River at Sirandri was identified as an ideal site for electricity generation. Initially, the decision was made by the British government to build a dam across the river, which originates from the forest. In 1958, a study and survey of the area were conducted, and a hydroelectric project was proposed by the Kerala State Electricity Board, that is KSEB. The plan for a hydroelectric project that threatened the park's high diversify area of wildlife stimulated an environmentalist social movement in the 1970s called Save Silent Valley, which resulted in the cancellation of the project. Now, significance of the Silent Valley movement. Like other social movements in India, Silent Valley movement was also spontaneous, natural, initially went through unorganized processes but later on became more organized. In initial phase, the local level groups protesting against the project neither could nor tried to contact the larger platform because of their apprehensions and lack of clarity on the issue. In initial period, the movement at local level had the experiment with the outside forces before co-opting them into their fold. The movement also established that the fact that civil society reflects or offers the true concept of development. From the experiences, one can say that if the philosophy of the movement gets supported by higher level platform, then it becomes easy to establish the fact of the concept of people's development as a part of the development process. This movement contributed certain pathways to the other movement in India. Proper awareness is required among people on ecology and environment. For making a movement of this magnitude successful in later period, this movement forced the state to go for small hydropower projects, which became more environment friendly, less destructive to the natural base of the state. Significance of Silent Valley. The valley is famous for many rare species of birds and animals. BirdLife International listed 16 birds species in Silent Valley as threatened or restricted. The mammals in the valley include gaur, the largest of all wild cattle. There are at least 34 species of mammals at Silent Valley, including the threatened species of mammals. Over 128 species of butterflies and 400 species of moths live here. Silent Valley is identified as a region with high biodiversity and an important gene pool, resource for recombinant DNA innovations by the Indian Council of Agriculture Research, that is ICAR India. About the movement was first initiated by the local people and was subsequently taken over by the Kerala Sastra Sahitya Parishad, that is KSSP. The KSSP effectively aroused public opinion by publishing a techno-economic and socio-political assessment report on the Silent Valley hydroelectric project. The Kerala Sastra Sahitya Parishad generated public opinion against the project. As a consequence, in 1979, the government of Kerala passed legislation regarding the Silent Valley Protection Area. Protection of Ecological Balance Act of 1979 and issued a notification declaring the exclusion of the hydroelectric project area from the proposed national park. Now, what is conservation status of Silent Valley? In 1940, the forest of Silent Valley area was declared a reserve forest. However, from 1927 to 1976, portion of the Silent Valley forest area were subjected to forestry operations. In 1983, the central government instructed the state government to abandon the project, and on November 15, the Silent Valley forest were declared as a national park. On September 7, 1985, the Silent Valley National Park was formally inaugurated. On September 1, 1986, Silent Valley National Park was designated as the core area of the Nilgiri Biosphere Reserve. Now, the second moment is Vishnois of Rajasthan. Vishnois movement was started approximately 290 years ago. In the early part of the 18th century, in Rajasthan, by the Vishnoi community, a large group of them from 84 villages, led by a lady called Amrita Devi, laid down their lives in an effort to protect the trees from being felled on the order of the Maharaja, king of Jodhpur. About Vishnoi's movement. The Vishnoi movement is one of the first organized proponent of eco-conservation, wildlife protection, and green living. The Vishnois are considered the first environmentalist of India. They are born nature lovers. In the history of environmental movements, this was the moment that, for the first time, used the strategy of hugging and embracing trees for their protection. The famous Amrita Devi's movement is considered to be among the pioneering efforts of environmental protection. King Amber Singh Jodhpur in the 1730s, when building his new palace, ordered his soldiers to cut down the trees for wood in Khejarli village. As a symbol of protest, Amrita Devi stood against the shoulder and fought for the life of trees by clinging into them. Her three daughters, Ashu, Ratni, and Bhagu, also stood by their mother. Supporting them, the other people in this community also stood up for the trees and wrapped their arms around the trunks. The soldiers continued to axe the trees down without paying heed to the request of the people. The prime reason behind opposing tree cutting was embedded in the cultural belief of the Vishnoi community, as described in the principle of their sector, advocating the protection of trees and wildlife conservation. Another reason was immediately related to their rural livelihood, as they depended on the forest for the supply of fuel wood and fodder. Vishnoi from Khejarli and other villages came to join this agitation and hugged the Khejri trees one by one to protect trees being cut at the cost of their heads. In this moment, 363 Vishnois laid down their lives for the protection of Khejri trees in the Khejarli village of Rajasthan. This moment has left an indelible mark on the memories and a long lasting effect on the psyche of the people. Objectives of Vishnoi movement. The movement had four major objectives: conservation of biodiversity to ensure eco friendly social life for the community, promoting personal hygiene to ensure a healthy life, advocacy against cutting of trees, preservation of biodiversity and animal husbandry. And now here you can see the picture of Vishnu's movement. Prominent leader of Vishnu's movement was Amrita Devi. Aim of the movement to protect the trees from being felled on the orders of the Maharaja, king of Jodhpur, to build a new palace. The success of Vishnoi movement. After this incident, the Maharaja gave a strong royal decree preventing the cutting of trees in all Vishnoi villages. The concept of tree hugging and tree hungers has roots in the history of Vishnuism in the year of 1730 AD. This movement and sacrifice not only inspired the Chipko movement in the 20th century, which was led by Sundarlal Bahuguna, but also the government of India in the form of Amrita Devi Vishnoi, Wildlife Protection Award, and government of Rajasthan in the form of Amrita Devi Vishnoi Smriti Paryavaran Award for contributing to the of protection of wildlife and environment conservation, respectively. Narmada Bachao Andolan, Gujarat. Narmada is one of the major rivers of Indian peninsula. The scope of the Sardar Sarovar project, a terminal reservoir on Narmada in Gujarat, in fact, is the main issue in the Narmada water dispute. The Narmada basin covers 94,500 square kilometers between the Vindhya and Satpura ranges in central India. The 1300 kilometers long Narmada Valley contains large alluvial plains in Madhya Pradesh. Narmada River on the west is sacred to the Hindus, widening into a 25-kilometer long estuary as it flows into the Gulf of Cambay. It is one of the world's largest multi-purpose water projects. The Narmada River Development Project involves the construction of 30 large dams and many small ones on the river and its 51 main tributaries. The project basically aims to increase food production and hydropower generation in Gujarat, Madhya Pradesh, and Maharashtra. Environmental movements in Odisha. The state of Odisha, particularly the southern belt, is endowed with 1733 million tons, that is 70% of total bauxite resources of the country. In the post-liberalization period, this mineral resource has attracted foreign investment, which brought the state into the international arena since 1986. Several attempts have been made in western Odisha to explore bauxite ore. Government of Odisha 2000. The major companies which have tried to explore bauxite mining in Odisha at different times include Balco Limited, Utkal Alumina, Indal, Tata, Hydro in Norway, Alcan, Canada, and Hindalco. Environmental movement against bauxite mining in Kashipur. Kashipur is one of the tribal dominated blocks of Raigad district. There are 412 villages distributed over 20 gram panchayats, accommodating a total population of 101,995. The Puraja and the Konch are the two major tribal communities of the region. Of the total geographical area of 15,059 square miles, the block has forest coverage of 59,000 acres and reserve forest of 33,000 acres. Around 36.3% of villages are electrified and only 19% of the total population is literate. Census of India 2001, the total labor force in the block is 43.12%, of which agriculture labor comprises of 24.95%, while household industry counts for 0.99%. The agro product of the region include ragi, paddy, millet, grams, chickpeas, maize, and Niger seed. Hill broom is the most important forest product of the region. The block was once full of natural forests and perennial springs. The tribal people living therein terraced the land and made the region habitable. They maintained a symbiotic relationship with nature and natural resources. They enjoy natural rights over the resources surrounding them. The intervention in the region started with various state laws, basically designed to exploit the natural resources available in the region. The influx of non tribal people suppressed the tribals. This has been reflected in the form of massive land alienation, resulting landlessness and severe impoverishment. People's poverty has become chronic as a result of money lending, bounded labor practices. The geographical inaccessibility of the region, exploitation by middlemen, contractors, and petty traders, and, and the low bargaining power and lack of organization of the people. Ecological and biodiversity protection movement in Niyamgiri Hills of Odisha. Niyamgiri, a range of hills stretched over 250 square kilometers, is popularly known as Dongaria Kondha land. Socioculturally, Nimyagiri hills are a single hill country, but from administrative point of view, this land is divided under three districts of Kalandi, Raigada, and Koraput. Anthropologists consider Nimyagiri as the original adobe of the Dongrai Gandhas, which is one of the original subgroup of Gandhas who consider themselves as the descendants of Niyam Raja Patnaik and Das Patnaik, 1982. The Dongarias have a distinguished heritage, dress, style, mode of living, indigenous skill, cultural pattern, and social system interlinked with nature. The major river system having origin in the hills include Vasundhara, Nagavalli, and 36 streams, which are culturally and ecologically very rich and maintain their identities till today. Niyamgiri carries most pristine forest of Odisha, vulnerable wildlife species, and proposed South Odisha Elephant Reserve and Wildlife Sanctuary of the state taxonomist who assess the flora of Niyamgiri Hills. View that the flora of the hill range exhibits a very rich and varied assemblage of plant species owing to its diversified topography with high mountain peaks and remunerable deep valleys and gorges. abundant springs, and diverse vegetation resources. The hill also includes around 50 species of important medicinal plants, 20 species of wild ornamental plants, and more than 10 species of crop plants. The secondary data identifies a variety of faunal species under categories like endangered and vulnerable as per the Zoological Survey of India's Red Data Book. Any such mining project will have an adverse impact on the life and livelihood of the local and the environment of the region. Therefore, in the local organization of the agitations, women's groups took an active part through picketing, procession, and public hearing. The emergence of an indigenous leadership made all these movements more widespread. In fact, in this process, the micro movements, the forest dependent communities are trying to reestablish the functional importance of their indigenous institutions in the environmental protection and to determine the forest based regional need of the people. Now, what are environmental ethics? The role of Indian and other religions and cultures in environmental conservation. All religions and cultures have something to offer to conservation and environmental protection. From each religion, several injunctions or exhortation can be brought forth to form a code of environmentally sustainable development. This is amply and extensively demonstrated in the codes of the various religions. Now, environment and Hinduism. The, the sanctity of all life on this planet and elsewhere is really ingrained in the Hinduism. This, the Supreme God has absolute sovereignty over all creatures, include humans. According to Hindu scriptures, all lives have the same right to existence. Human beings have no dominion over other centuries. They are forbidden to exploit nature. Instead, they are advised to seek peace and live in harmony with nature. The Hindu religion demands veneration, respect, and obedience to maintain the support and harmonious unity of God and nature. This is demonstration by a series of divine incarnation and initiated by Dr. Karan Singh in the SI Declaration. The evolution of life on this planet is symbolized by a series of divine incarnation, beginning with fish, moving through amphibious worm and mammals, and then onto and then into human incarnation. This view clearly holds that man did not spring fully formed to dominate the lesser life forms, but rather evolved out of these forms itself and is therefore integrally linked to the whole of creation. Now you can see in this picture that there are different ladies which are worshipping. Like one is worshipping of the animal, another is of the beach. Like Hindu philosophy provides a solid foundation for the doctrine of Ashima, non-violence, and his presupposes of the doctrines of karma and rebirth. The Hindu believe in the cycle of birth and rebirth, wherein a person becomes back as an animal or a bird. Means that the Hindus give other species not only respect but also reverence. This provides a solid foundation of the doctrine of Ashi, Ashimsa, non-violence or non-injury against animal and human beings alike. And Hindus have a deep faith in this doctrine. The soul may return in different life forms, and with his belief, there is a profound opposition to the institutionalized killing of animals, birds, and fishes for human consumption. Hinduism considered the nature as the body of God. Different birds and animals are associated with different gods and goddesses and worshipped, or the emphasis is on their protection and preservation. Finally, Hindu reason provides a moral guideline for environmental preservation and conservation. Abuse and exploitation of nature is considered as unjust and sacrilegious. These associated with the gods and goddesses. Ashoka from Buddha and Indra. Fig from Vishnu and Rudra. Kadamba from Krishna. Lotus, Lakshmi, goddess of wealth. Mango, Lakshmi Govardhan. Neem, Sitala, Manasa. Palasa, Brahma, Gandharva. People, Vishnu, Krishna. Banyan or what? Brahma, creator of universe. Name of animal, bird, name of goddesses. Ash, Sitla. Bull, Shiva. Crocodile, Ganga. Deer, Vayu. Dog, Bhairava, Dattatreya. Eagle, Vishnu. Elephant, Indra, Ganesh. Lion, Durga. Monkey, Hanuman, Ram. Owl, Lakshmi. Peacock, Kartikeya, Saraswati. Rat, Ganesh. Serpent, Shiva. Swan, Saraswati. Wild goose, Brahma. Environmental protection in Vedas. Environmental protection in Vedas Vedic literature about 1500 BC clearly speaks that there is an integral balance in man nature and the god. Natural forces were considered to be expression of the Lord himself and are vulnerable entities. Vedas envisage a beautiful natural environment on earth and command the men not to pollute. In Rig Veda, it is mentioned that universe consists of five basic elements, namely earth, water, air, fire, and space, that is ether. These five elements provide basis for life in everything, and man is ordained to conserve them. Yajurved talks about propitiation and peace of all components of earth. Atharva Veda considered earth to be the mother and the creations are her offsprings. There is a command not to degrade the resources of Mother Earth. Water is considered to be the milk of the Mother Earth, which fosters the growth of all its offspring and make them pure in 100 ways. Rivers are the sources of power for life, and water is the symbol of dignity. Environmental protection in Purans. During the Puranic period 320 BC onwards, a popular belief emerged that each tree had its own deity. People offered water and circled trees with sacred threads in order to protect them. Narsingapurna personifies trees as God Himself. Varahapurna advocates regular plantation as a mean of achieving heaven. Matsyapurna regards planting of single tree is equivalent to leaving a progeny of 10 sons. Vishnu Puran says that God is pleased with a person who does not harm or destroy other non-speaking creatures or animals. The Padma Purana mentions that those who sacrifice cattle are doomed to prediction. In Manu Smriti, in Manu Smriti, the cruelty toward animal is totally condemned. It also mentions optimum use of the natural resources to maintain the balance in the ecosystem. Environment and Jainism. Jainism places great emphasis on the principle that one should reprise from avoidable acts that are harmful to oneself or other. Ashima's non-violence is the fundamental tenet of Jain way of life, a term that is clearly allied with realism, common sense, personal worth, and responsibility. For the Jains, environmental harmony through spirituality should be pursued by all. This can be done by adhering to three precepts: the right belief, the right knowledge, and the right conduct. Everyone should be benevolent toward all living organisms, compassionate for the weak, tolerant of the insolent, and joyful at the with us. This is the Jain way of bringing environmental harmony. Now here you can see Jainism, a way of life, live and let live, forgive and introspect, respect all living beings, respect the environment. So the main concept or the motto of Jainism is to save the environment and do not give pain to others. Now, environment and Christianity. Environment and Christianity. The Christianity also says that harmonic triadic relationship exists between the divine and humanity. Among human beings, the nature and failure to maintain the harmony may alienate humanity from its creator and also from nature. As the Lord said, I am the Alpha and the Omega, the first and the last, the beginning and the end. Consequently, every part of creation has His divine hand in it. No human being has absolute right to destroy it. It is from this perspective that review. Father Len Francisco Sherry, Minister General, Order Friars Minor, Conventual Rome, said all human affect in the world must therefore lead to mutual enrichment of men and creatures. 11 Pope John Paul VI in his message to United Nations Conference on Human Environment held at Stockholm 1972 stated that the environment and resources are for everyone. They are inalienable property of everyone and there does not exist over this universal prosperity, discretionary sovereignty, sovereignty exempting from responsibility toward humanity of today and tomorrow. This message, this message of Pope John Paul VI make it amply clear that there is a close link between Christianity and environment and the trust is for sustainable development. This is true spirit of Christianity to keep the environment in a perfect condition is very much stressed. Environment and Sikhism. Guru Nanak, the founder of Sikh religion, assigned divine attributes to nature according to Sikhism. People should respect God's creation and know the entire eternal truth regarding their place in the universe. Human race is the integral part of the natural and linked to the rest of my creation by indissoluble bonds. The Guru Granth Sahib proclaimed the glory of God in nature and the environment. Sikhs believe that the universe was created by the Almighty God. A balance between all the elements of nature is necessary for the continuation of the universe. Any disruption in balance brings distress and disaster. The history of the Gurus contain many stories of their love and special relationship with the natural environment, with animals, birds, vegetation, earth, river, mountain, and the sky. The Sikhism teaches that the natural environment and the survival of all life forms are closely linked in the rhythm of nature. The history of the Gurus contain many stories of their love and special relationship with the natural environment, with animal, birds, vegetation, earth, river, mountain, and the sky. Environment and Islam. In Islam, the Holy Quran and the divinely inspired word of Prophet Muhammad form the foundation of the rules of the conservation of the nature. The Quranic message is one of the unity, harmony, balance, and order. It stresses that nature law must be observed and that defined limits should not be exceeded. Man was created so that he could become a manifestation of divine attributes and serve as a and serve as a mirror to reflect the image of God. The Holy Quran declares that everything is created from water. Allah is considered to be the owner of land and mankind in the trustee or guardian wherein other living creatures are considered to be the beneficiaries. Allah is unity and his unity is reflected in the unity of mankind and nature. His trustees have been made responsible for maintaining the unity of his creations. The integrity of the earth includes its flora, fauna, wildlife, and the natural resources. The environment is not in the service of the present generation alone. Rather, it is the gift of God to all ages, past, present, and future. This message is found in Surah. Anything that causes pollution or deterioration of the environment considered as fasad in Islam. The punishment for disrupting the delicate balance of nature is set down in the Quran and in the saying of the Prophet. The basic essence of this punishment is accountability before God after death. Environment and Buddhism. Buddhism is a religion full of love, understanding, and compassion committed to the ideas of non-violence. The basic tenets of Buddhism are simplicity and ahimsa. The principle of simplicity based on the sustainability teaches that man should not overexploit the natural resources. The principle of the ahimsa or non-violence or not killing the animals show the love for fauna. The teachings of Buddhism have concentrated on the theory of karma and the theory of cause and effect. They demonstrate that the unmindful neglect of these principles of the right living may lead to chaos and thus to environmental crisis. In Buddhism, the river, forest, mountain are highly respected and regarded as bliss. Westerners and Buddhists had great respect for the sun, moon, and other planets. Buddha also set down rules forbidding the pollution of rivers, ponds, and as well in Sutta Nipata. Know the grasses and the trees, then know the worms and the different sorts of ants. Know also the four-footed animals, small and great, the serpent, the fish which range in the water, the birds that are borne along on wings and move through the air. The Dalai Lama expressed this clearly in the following way: as Buddhist, I believe in the interdependence of all things, the interrelationship among the whole spectrum of plant animal life, including elements in the nature which express themselves as mountain, valley, rivers, sky, and sunshine. So that's it for today's lecture from environmental movements. Thank you.